Coach, I just asked Gordon this, but what's the key to being able to stay in the moment when you know that if you do not win, the season comes to an end?
I don't even think you think about that. You just play the next play the way it's supposed to be played. I mean, that's been our biggest challenge for a lot of the year, but it's certainly been the biggest challenge in this series. I mean, in all 3 games in the third quarter, it's a one-possession game. Or in all 4 games, it's a one-possession game. And obviously, game 1, we pulled away, and they didn't respond as well, but that was uncharacteristic of them. The last 3 games, when they've pulled away, we haven't responded. And so we've just got to be able to move on to what's next, play better, and not play what I would say to be somewhat haphazard. I think that ultimately we just have to stay the course with what we're trying to accomplish.
Coach, coming out from Greece and last after Game 5, Giannis, how do you think that somebody can defend against you? And he said, I don't know, maybe to face me with some physicality. You played against him so many games. What's your option?
Well, I mean, there's only so many guys that can physically have any impact on him, right? And literally probably only a couple in the world. So you just do your best to do it as a team. You do your best to make him uncomfortable. Easier said than done. What's made him so good this whole year, and it's continued in this series, is his passing. If all he did was lower his head and drive to the rim, you'd be able to sink in, help, take charges. It wouldn't feel good in the morning, but you'd do it. But his passing is just really good. He makes the right pass. He's smart about it, and he's done a good job of that. He's obviously a hard cover, but I can't tell you how much respect I have for the way he plays and the way he operates and who he is and everything else. We just have to make it as tough as we can on him.
Coach, are there any considerations on your part to tweaking your starting 5 or rotation or anything like that?
There's always considerations, Sherrod, but the reason that you would make a tweak necessarily to the starting lineup is just to play a little differently off the bench, because the starters have all been good, and especially I could go through, but they haven't at times played as well as they'd like individually, but as a group they've been pretty good.
The bench has sort of receded in the last few games, and just what can you do to?
Yeah, I said yesterday I need to do a better job of helping those guys out and making sure that we're more organized. I feel like we did a really good job of playing the way we wanted to play in the first 3 quarters the other day, and then again we got a little haphazard at the end of the third and into the fourth. And bench starters, whatever the case may be, their bench has been awfully good, and their starters have been good. But I think ultimately, guys like George Hill made a huge difference in this series thus far. Connaughton's made a huge difference in this series thus far. And I believe in our guys. And, they don't get a huge sample size in some cases. Like Terry's a good example of that. And that's part of it, but I believe in our bench.
Brad, when you say you haven't done a good job of getting guys organized, what do you do better to do that? Do you call more plays? How do you try to change that?
Well, I think number one is we have to know what we've got and be opportunistic in early offense, and then we have to be in something. And the reality is that they do such a good job of handling the ball when the ball stays on one side of the court for a long time. You have to get the ball to the other side of the court. You have to get the ball into the paint, and you usually have to get the ball in the paint 2 times before you can even, resemble a reasonable look. And I think that's, those are challenges. If you don't get it up in the first 6 seconds, you're probably going to have to, work hard to get a good look.
Brad, is it kind of all hands on deck tonight? Anyone's available. You could throw Robert in there. Would you consider Wanamaker, other guys who maybe haven't played?
Consider him every minute of every game, Gary. I don't think of it any different in Game 5 than I do when with your season on the line than I did in Game 1. I mean, I think you got to be all ready to play. Any of those guys can contribute. I thought when they came in at the end of Game 2, both Robert and Gershon were very good. And so that's been in my mind, obviously, but we haven't gone to that yet.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.